So here I have the game of the year. The bowl follows your mouse, and the apples will, you're trying to catch them, it will make the score go up. And once the apple falls, it says game over, and then everything stops. So here's all the blocks, and I'm going to recreate this amazing game inside of Godot. So over here in Godot, I'm going to click New. I'll just call it Apple Catch. Okay, click Create Folder. Set the render to compatibility, and then Create. So switch over to 2D and create a 2D scene. We can just call it Scene. Doesn't really matter. Sure. And then click Save. Press Control S to save it. So first I'm just going to change a few project settings. Go to Boot Splash, turn off Show Image, and set the background color to black. And then in Window, set the mode to Canvas Items. Alright, so first thing I want to do is make this beautiful gradient background. So I can do that by making a canvas layer. Just call it background. Set the layer to -128. Put in a texture rect. Make it full screen. And then in the texture, I'm going to create a new gradient texture 2D. So I can just copy the colors directly from here. I think you need Scratch add-ons to do this, but here's the hex code. So I'm going to change the black color to the orange color. And let me also get the pink color right here. Change the white to pink. And I'm going to change the direction from, instead of left to right, change it up to down. So set the Y to 1 and set the X to 0. And I'm going to lock it so that I don't accidentally drag it. And click Select Current Scene. So once you click the play button, click Select Current. And here's a beautiful gradient background. So now I want to get the bowl in here. So create new folder, call it Textures. Okay, so in Scratch, I'm just going to export the textures as an SVG. I'm also going to export the apple. So just select the textures folder and then just drag these in. So if I drag in my bowl, as you can see, it's kind of small and it's blurry. So make sure the bowl is selected here. Go to Import, Generate Bitmaps, and set the scale to 3. Okay, so now click on the bowl here. Go to Texture and set the filter to Linear Bitmap. Okay, now I'm going to resize the bowl to about here. So now I want it in the center of the screen. So go to Project Settings, copy the width, and the bowl, I'll just set the X position to that divided by 2. Now if I hold Shift, I can drag it straight down to about here. Maybe I'll make it a little bigger. Okay, now I'm going to name it Bowl. Hit play, and there's the bowl right there. It's not doing anything, so I'm just going to add some behavior to it. So create a new folder called Scripts. Okay, now the bowl, select the bowl and then attach a script to it. Put it in this folder. You can just call it bowl. So this is pretty simple. Just put inside of this process function, just say position.x equals get global mouse position dot x and put an underscore before delta because we're not using it. So you hit play and the bowl will now follow the mouse. Okay, so now let's get an apple in here. So open the textures and drag in the apple. It looks pretty messed up, so let's delete that. I'm going to re-import the texture. So I think I can fix it by just ungrouping this. So just hit the ungroup button and then export it again. So now right click on this. Actually just delete it. Just delete it. And I'm going to drag in the new apple texture. Okay, that fixed it. So I'm also going to wait, let me just name this apple. And now I'm also going to do the import settings. So generate bitmaps and set the scale to 3 and hit re-import. And then in the texture, set the filter to linear bitmap. And now just scale the apple down. So yeah, there's the apple right there. Make it just a little bit smaller. Yeah, here's the size. The scale is right here. So anyways, in Scratch, we were using clones for the apples. So every 1 second, it would create a clone of itself. So in Godot, I can make it something that is called an instance, where it would have its own scene. Well, basically, let me just show you. So click on the apple, just right click on it and save branch as scene. And we can just call it apple.tcsn. Sure, I'm not going to create a folder for it. But yeah, if you click this little icon right here, it's going to bring you to the apple scene. Alright, so I can go back to the regular scene and just delete the apple from here because I have it in its own little scene here. So set the position back to the center. Yeah, I'm just going to keep it like this for now. I'm not going to do anything here yet. But in this scene, select the root and create a node 2D. And we can just call it apples, because this is where it's going to generate all the apple clones. So attach a script to it. We can call it generate apples. Okay, so I'm going to create a timer node inside of here. Just keep the default settings for it. Just make sure the timer is inside of the apples. So I'm going to create a function for whenever the timer goes out called a function on timeout. And just put pass in there for now. So in the ready function, I'm gonna connect it. So timer, timeout, connect to the on timeout function. And then you can start the timer. Okay. So every time the timer goes out, which will be every 1 second, it's going to run whatever's in here. So I want to create an apple. So you can just drag in the apple.tcsn, just hold control, and it will create a constant for you. So I can say apple clone equals apple dot instantiate, and I can say apple clone, no, add child apple clone. Okay, so after 1 second, an apple will appear up here in the top left corner. I think I can type this actually. Put a colon and then put sprite 2D. Let's see if that works. Yeah, that works. Okay, so now I want to set a random position because as you can see in the original, the apples will spawn randomly. Wait. Yeah, the apples will spawn at a random position at the top of the screen. So that's actually simple. All you have to do is go to project settings and get the viewport width. And now just say apple clone dot position dot x equals random int range from 0 to the width. And as you can see, the apples are now spawning all over the place. Good. So I'm going to make the apples fall now. So in Scratch, we're using when I start as a clone block to do that. So in Godot, I can just go to my instance and then add a script to here. So this script is going to run for every apple on the screen. So I can just call it apple. Alright, so I can just say inside of the process function, I can just say position.y minus equals 500 times delta. And, whoa, okay, they're going up. I want the apples to fall down because of gravity, so I'm going to put plus equals. Let's see. Yeah, so there go the apples falling down. Let me just make them slower, like 250. Yeah, I think that's a good speed. Okay, also let me just make sure that the bowl is behind the apples by going to ordering and set the z-index to -1. Okay, so now whenever the apple touches the bowl, it's going to change a score and it's going to disappear. So first I want to create some collisions for the bowl. So if I click on the bowl sprite, you can go up to here and click create collision polygon 2D sibling. Okay, so this little outline here is the collision. So I'm going to set the shrink to like 5, update, maybe 3. Okay, that looks good. Create collision polygon. So there's the collision. Okay, but there's a warning right here that there's no thing for it. So in the bowl, create an area 2D. We can just call it bowl collision. And then just drag the polygon inside of that. So there's the collision for the bowl. Now for the apple, I'm going to also create some collision for it. So add in the area 2D, you can call it apple collision. And now let's create a polygon. Can't convert a sprite from a foreign scene. I don't know what that means, but I don't know what that means, but I can just copy this and then paste it into here. And now create a polygon. Okay, that looks good. So create the polygon. So now just copy the polygon and then paste it into there. It's pretty small. So what's the transform of this? 0.32. Okay, just set the scale to 1. Okay, there. So now there's the collision for the apple. I can go back here and just delete these two. We don't need that. Okay, so now let's have it detect the collision. So first create a function for when it detects one. So on area entered, area 2D. Just put pass for now. Now create a ready function. And you can just say apple collision dot area entered dot connect to the on area entered function. And now make it print area. So if I hit play, so once the apple goes over the bowl, it prints the bowl collision object. Okay, so I'm going to say if area.name equals bowl collision, which I technically don't need to add this line, but whatever. Then I can print touched bowl. So hit play. Once the apple goes over the bowl, it says touched bowl. Okay, so I'm just going to make it delete the apple. So all I have to do is type in Q free. And once the apple touches the bowl, it disappears. Okay, so now I want to create the chomp sound, because, yeah, that sound. So I'm just going to export it. I'm also going to export this sound. And in Godot, I'm going to create a new folder called audio. And just drag in the two sounds. This one seems to have an error. So let me delete it. And I'm going to try again. I think I can fix it by speeding it up, then slowing it down. And then export it again. I don't know why this happens. It's just some weird bug. Okay, now it works. Okay, so in the Apple, I'm going to create a audio stream player. Let me just call it chomp. Okay, and drag in the chomp.wave. Okay, it's pretty loud. I'm going to set the volume to like -25. That seems good. So in the Apple, before it cues free, I'm just going to say chomp.play. Now let's test it out. Okay, it's not going to play the sound. And I think the reason is because it's deleting this chomp sound. So I'm going to put this into the other scene. So just delete it. And I'm going to paste it into the bowl. I'm going to paste it into the bowl collision, actually. So I can just say area dot find wait, what? Dot get node chomp dot play. Now it should work. There we go. Okay, let me also like just fix this up a little bit. So I can say var variable chomp sound stream player, which is an audio stream player, equals area dot get node or null chomp. You can say if chomp sound, then chomp sound dot play. So it works the same way, but it's just a little better. Yeah, it works the same. Okay, and now I want to make a score go up by 1. So I'm actually going to create a global variable for this. So click here, I'm going to create a new script called global. Now in the project settings, go to auto load, select the global script, and then click add. So now the variables in this script can be accessed by anything. So I'm going to say variable score equals 0. And in the Apple, before it queues free, I'm just going to say global dot score plus equals 1. And then print global.score. So whenever I get an apple, it prints the score, and it's going up. So I want to put a variable up here to show the score, just like it does in the original. So I'm going to create a canvas layer. I'm going to call it GUI, and I'm going to put in a text. No, it's just called label. Make it full screen, and I'm going to type in score. So here it says score. Let me just make the label smaller, about the size of this. So set the vertical alignment to center, and in the colors, set the font color to like black. Well, actually it's kind of a dark gray. Okay, now I'm going to create a style for it. So click new style box flat. So the background is like almost white. There's a border width, let's see, 3 pixels. Nah, 2 pixels. Yeah, I think the default color is fine. Set the corner radius to 5. Maybe set it to 6. Okay. And let me just make the font size bigger, so like 23. 20. Is that good? I don't know. It's all just a bunch of trial and error. Maybe 20. Whoa. 22. Yeah, whatever. I can keep it like that for now. Maybe to make this a little skinnier. 21. That's the perfect number. Okay. You'll probably have different numbers if you're like, because you might have it a different size. But I'll set the content margins on the left. 5, 20, no, 10, 15. Okay. Now I'm going to create the little number here, so add in another label. Actually, no, I can just duplicate this one and just drag it inside of there. This label 2, I'm going to call it counter. Make it full, so it's going to fill up the whole thing. Type in the number 0. Okay, so set the font color to white now. And in the styles, this is important. Make sure you right click this and then click make unique. Okay, so I want it to be the orange color here. So I can get this orange color by opening inspect element, choosing some color here, and then for the eyedropper I can just get the color. Alright, and I'll just paste it here. And I'm going to get rid of the border. Okay, now I can hold Alt to resize it from the middle and drag it right here. Okay, so I want to make this smaller, but there's a problem, which is that Godot will not let me make that smaller because of the text. Okay, so what I'm going to do is duplicate it. I'm going to right click on this one, set change type, and change it to a panel. Okay, and now and I'm just going to call it panel. And for the real counter, name it to counter. And for the theme, you can just get rid of that. And set the horizontal alignment to center. Now for some reason it got rid of the color for the panel. Just create a new style box flat for it. Set the background color. And set the corner radius to 6. So now if I select the panel, I can make it smaller. Okay, and this is resizable. You can resize it like this, like that. So I'm just going to make it a little skinnier. And then make this panel slightly bigger. Okay. You're going to have some different adjustments for yours if you're following along. But, okay, where's the text color? I need it to be a little brighter. Is that good? Yeah, maybe a little bit more. Okay, finally, we have the score variable up there. And it looks just like it does in Scratch. Except, maybe I'll make that a bit smaller. Okay, now it's just how I want it. So there's the variable. So in the counter, I want it to update. So click create script. Just call it counter, sure. Okay, so in the process function, I could put. Actually, I'm not going to do this. Okay, you could totally use the process function, but I just like doing this instead. I can create an update text function, and it's going to call value. Create a parameter in there called value, and then you can just say text equals string value. Alright, now I'm going to go to global, and I'm going to create a global signal for updating the text. So I can say update score counter, and it's going to be called that. Create the parameter called score. And then in the Apple script, after it changes up the score, you're just going to say global.emit signal update score counter. And then for the parameter, you can just pass in global.score. Now in the counter, we can connect this function. You can say global.update score counter connect to update text. Let's see if it works. So once I get an apple, the number goes up. Alright, so now there's only just one more thing to add, which is once the apple goes past the screen, then you get a game over. Let's see. Whoops, game over. Alright, so over here we're saying if the Y position is less than the screen, then broadcast game over, and then everything stops. Alright, so I'm going to create a signal for that called, if I can spell signal right, signal game over. Okay, so that's basically an event. That's basically the broadcast event, but in Godot. Just create a signal. And, okay, so for the apple, we're going to put a little, inside of the process function, you're going to put an if statement. If position.y is less than or equal to what? The viewport height. So just copy that and paste it there. Then we can just say global.emit signal game over. Okay, so once the game ends, it will stop. Well, it will delete the clones, all the apples, most notably. So I'm going to do that first. Go to the generate apple script. Okay, so I'm going to create a function on game over. And in the ready function, I can connect it, saying global.gameover.connect to on, actually no parentheses, say on game over. So on game over, all I have to do is just make it queue free. So that's going to delete all of the apples, and it's going to delete the script, so it's not going to spawn any more apples after that. So let's hit play. Oh, it seems like I messed up something. So click on the apple. Okay, less than or equal to is actually supposed to be greater than or equal to, because in Godot, the Y position gets bigger as you go down. So let's run that again. Okay, so once the apple falls past the screen, then all the apples disappear. Okay, and now I also want the bowl to stop moving once the game is over. So for that, create a function here on game over. And in the ready function, I can connect it. Okay, so once the game over happens, I can just say set process false. So basically that's just going to stop this process function. So I'm just collecting the apples, and once it goes past the screen, then the bowl will stop following the mouse. Okay, so lastly, what I want to do is that I want to make the game over text appear. So as you can see in the Scratch project, we have this text that says game over. So I'm going to create that inside of the GUI. Just create a label called game over, make it full screen, and just write the word game over in all caps. And set the alignment to center. Set the font color to like purple, like right there. And now set the font size to big. Okay, we might want it to be a little darker, or like a little more purple. Okay. So there, it says game over. I'm going to lock it so I can't accidentally drag it. And I'm going to make it invisible by clicking that little eye. So I'm going to add some behavior to this. I mean, this project is simple. I could technically add it to the bowl, but I'm just going to create a whole new script. I'm going to call it game over text. Now once again, I'm just going to create that game over function. I can just copy it from here actually. So let me just copy this and paste it into here. Okay, so now we have a game over function. I can just say visible equals true. And now I'm going to add the game over sound. So add an audio stream player and drag it into the game over label. We can just call it lose. Now for the audio, I'm going to drag in the sound. Once again, that's pretty loud. I'm going to set it to like -25. Okay, that sounds good. So I can just say lose.play. And we're finished with this Apple Catch game. So let me go to project settings and set it to exclusive full screen, because I'm going to get the full screen experience. So click play. All right, let me get these apples. The score is going up. Okay, so now let's let the apples fall. And then it says game over. So once again, I hope you learned something. This project took me about 1 minute to make, and this took me like, what? How long have I been recording?